Let's talk about Marco Rubio and his comments ahead of the Quad talks yesterday. He basically said he wants less talk and more action when it comes to critical minerals. Is it too much to say that that was a bit of a gift to us? Because we've got a lot of leverage there, don't we, on critical minerals? Are we using it?
Well, you might recall during the election campaign the Prime Minister spoke about this and spoke about creating a critical minerals reserve, and we do recognise this is a strategic asset to Australia, but also to our partners and to our principal strategic partner and ally, the United States. So, Australia has a great many of the world's critical minerals. We have a capacity not just to mine them, but also to process them. We're already doing that, and we can do more.
But is that a quid pro quo for tariffs, potentially preferential access to our minerals for some relief on tariffs?
Well, first on tariffs, let's remember, the US has a trade surplus with us, and
yes.
Whilst
we keep on reminding them.
Well, I think it's an important set of facts to continue to talk about, because there's a lot of benefit to the United States from the free tariff arrangements that exist under our free trade agreement. But look, we see the strategic benefit in critical minerals. We recognise that assuring those supply chains is important for Australia, it's important for the US, it's important for allies and partners. So of course the Quad did discuss this, and we have more work to do on how that might work with the United States and with friends and partners. But
they're interested.
They are interested, and we are interested.
Okay, good. You noted yesterday that Secretary Rubio, well, I note that you said Rubio yesterday did not raise defence spending with you. How significant is that? Is that a sign that they no longer want to pursue that with Australia? There are other matters at hand, because it was only a couple of months ago that Hegseth raised that with Richard Marles.
Look, we had a lot to talk about, and obviously we live in a region which, as Secretary Rubio said, is being reshaped, and the future of the 21st century will be defined by that reshaping. So obviously we have a lot to talk about. In relation to defence, I've said, the Prime Minister said, Richard Marles has said, we take a capability-based approach to funding. We have the largest peacetime increase in defence funding in Australia's history. The circumstances are such, I know there will be more capability required. I think we all understand that, and we will fund the capability that Australia needs.
So is there significance in him not raising with that yesterday, or am I looking too much into this?
Well, I can only report that from the meeting. Obviously, there's a lot to discuss, and I appreciate that it's a focus of some discussions, but the focus yesterday was on much more on what we can do together, and also on Aukus. That's a win-win, or win-win-win.
Well, you said it was well understood, Aukus, yesterday, well understood in terms of the importance of that pact. Australia's geography, I think, is far more important to the USA. Whether they're kind of talking that up front or not, but could the trade-off actually be here not an AUKUS review or any changes to that security pact, but could it be more forced posture in Australia?
I think it's both geography and capability is what I'd say to you. And in fact, that's one of the benefits of AUKUS, the geographic location of Fleet Base West, and the additional capability that will provide, that is more maintenance for American submarines. That translates to more days in the water for US submarines. So one of the great things about the AUKUS arrangements is it increases the capability of all three countries. And certainly in the near and medium term, it's a benefit to the US because it increases both the build rates but also maintenance rates, and that equals submarine capability in the water.
We are a little bit flappable over this review of AUKUS here in 2025. I do note we're not due to get the first Virginia-class submarine until in the 2030s, so it could be 5 to 7 years away. Do we just need to calm down a little bit because it'll be a different president then? Does this review even really matter 7 years before?
Well, first I'd make the point it's quite rational that a new administration would review this arrangement, just as the British did. That's the first point I'd make. The second point I'd make is exactly the one you're referencing, which is this is a multi-decade task. Governments, foreign ministers, defence ministers, prime ministers, presidents, secretary of state, secretary of defences of all colours over many decades will have to deliver this. and we're going to have to work together, and we're determined to do that.
Right, just quickly on a few other things. You would have seen how Trump dealt with Canada over their digital services tax. Now, we don't have that, but we do have a news media bargaining code. How do you view that? Because does it mean, with this president in the White House, that we can give up any hope that the tech companies will actually pay their fair share of tax in Australia?
Look, we're determined to continue with this policy framework, and you know the reasons why. This is not a revenue-raising exercise. It really does go to enabling content for consumers and ensuring that journalists and content creators, have appropriate remuneration, and that is an important thing for any democracy.
But also paying the fair share of tax. We know that multinational tax shifting is one of the things that hurts our budget so much. I mean, successive governments have spoken about it. Tech bros here in the US are really in Trump's ear. They're hugely influential. How does that sit with you?
Look, Australia will take an approach on taxation that we believe is in our national interests. Obviously, there are always people with different views. We believe in a reasonable tax system, and that's what we'll continue to implement.
It's always said, Penny, that the alliance is bigger than any one individual in the White House or at Parliament House in Canberra. But do you think Donald Trump is challenging that conventional wisdom?
There's no doubt that President Trump envisages a very different role for America in the world. I've been upfront about that, and we respect that. That's what the American people voted for. And so we have to navigate that, and we have to think about what is it Australia brings to the US and to the alliance in this context. And I think we bring a great deal in terms of our region, in terms of what we do in our region and what we do in the world.
It's the most distant, though, our alliance has ever been, wouldn't you say?
I don't agree with that.
When's another time in history that it's been, I'm not subscribing to this idea that it's a disaster at the moment, but it does seem distant. We don't have that rapport that we've seen in recent decades. When's another time in history that you can point to that you've seen the alliance is distant?
I don't agree with that. I mean, this is my second time in Washington in 6 months. We've had 2 Quad meetings here. Richard's been here. Jim Chalmers, the Treasurer, has been here. The Prime Minister's had 3 very constructive conversations with the President. So I don't agree with your characterisation. We understand that, obviously the Middle East has been, taking a lot of focus by world leaders. I think we all understand
But
that.
Yesterday you said before the Quad meeting, unfortunately we meet against a backdrop of conflict and escalating competition. America is becoming a bit of a competitor, isn't it? Economically, at least. Do you ever fully trust your competitor?
Well, I think America is, the world's great power, and we recognise our role and we recognise the US role. We're a middle power. We believe it's important to continue to trade with our region and trade with the rest of the world. That's been the basis of Australian prosperity for a long time. We also believe that we are better in the alliance, we are stronger in the alliance, and that we are pulling our weight in the alliance, and we will continue to demonstrate
We certainly
that.
always seen as someone a country that punches above our weight. Long may that continue. Foreign Minister, finally, I've just seen that Trump has posted on Truth Social that Israel has agreed to the necessary conditions for a 60-day ceasefire in Gaza. What would those necessary conditions be, do you think?
Well, that's a matter for the President for Israel to articulate should they wish, but can I just make this point? We all want a ceasefire in Gaza. We want a ceasefire, we want the hostages released, and if the President can land that, I think the whole world will be very pleased. And so, I hope that the work that the administration is doing does lead to a ceasefire, and humanitarian aid to flow and the hostages coming home.
Yeah, and long after 60 days as well, indeed. Foreign Minister, thanks so much for your time. Great to see you.
Great to be here.